There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. It took a couple minutes to get everybody out of the waiting room. Sorry if you actually were logged in. I'm just going to take a couple minutes here while everyone's getting logged in and go over the basics for our webinars. If you have attended our webinars regularly in the past, just bear with me for a minute and then we'll get into the actual program. For those of you who are new and have not attended one of our programs before, welcome. This is a Zoom webinar, so it's a little bit different than a meeting. If you have any questions during the class, you are going to type those questions into the Q&A box. I will see those and I'll be relaying them to Pam and John, who are with us today, to answer those questions. And I believe, Pam, I forgot to check with you if we're going to leave most of those until the end or if you're going to take them throughout, just let me know. So we will be doing that. And today's program is going to be a little bit different. I'm excited because we haven't done this before through Merrifield. But we're going to be talking about the Rose and Photography Show and photography of roses and the setup and all that. So this will be very informational for me. For those of you who don't know Pam, Pam is the consulting rosarian of the Arlington Rose Foundation. She does a lot of classes with us. I always enjoy our classes with Pam. And she also is the National Photography Chair of the American Rose Society, which I just learned today. And I learned some of the beautiful photos that she sends me are in fact hers. I knew some of them were, but I didn't realize all of them were. You're very talented. And today, John Smith is with Pam. So Pam, I'm going to let you do a quick introduction and we can start diving in.
Let me introduce my friend John. John has won national awards as a rose grower, exhibitor, and an inspiration for other rose growers. But most important, he is my good friend and mentor for a long time. We won't say how long.
We were both a lot younger.
Oh man, well, I'm sure you bring a lot of experience, John. And Pam, before we start, can you talk a little bit about the Rose Show? I know it's on the 24th and 25th at the Fair Oaks store, which is actually where you are now, guys. This is a webinar, like a studio we have set up at the Fair Oaks store. So can you tell me a little bit about it, how it works and what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. The Rose Show, it's really a 3-day event. We set up and we start our preparation on Friday before. And then we have 2 days of fun. And it's all about celebrating roses. And exhibitors, rose growers, whether you've exhibited before or not, you come in on prep times on Friday or prep times on Saturday and get your roses entered. It's a very friendly competition. The benefits are immense in that you have access to great rose growers like John Smith, and all your questions answered from experience-based knowledge grower. And it's a lot of fun, and you meet people who more than likely you'll stay in touch with for a very, very, very long time. You see a lot of beauty on the tables. What do you like about the rose shows, John?
Well, I like the camaraderie, the lifelong friendships that you make. I met Pam over 30 plus years ago, and we are friends outside the roses as well.
Yeah.
And then you will get a diverse group of rosarians together, and you will learn from each other. And then that makes your rose growing experience much better because it perfects your horticultural skills by taking all this knowledge that you've gathered from other exhibitors and growers and applying it in your garden to find out what works for you.
Yeah.
Hey, well, are there any benefits for entering the show versus attending? Because I know it's open to the public certain times.
Yes. So exhibiting, is behind the scenes. And so we're setting the stage for the public. And we offer awards, recognition, bragging rights for many, many, many classes of roses and photography. Okay. And so our awards, we do cash awards, gift certificates, a number of Merrifield Garden Center gift certificates, decorative items as well as functional products, to help you take care of your roses. So, but the benefit is always, who you meet.
And it's fun.
Yes, a lot of fun.
Well, that's great. Well, I know y'all are looking forward to that, and it sounds like a great event. And I know y'all have a big program, so I'll stop asking questions and let you guys get into it.
Good deal. Well, let's get started, and we'll start with a horticulture perspective. And to get your roses entered into a rose show, and I encourage you to do so, whether you're a new exhibitor or exhibitor from a long time ago, or you just want to see what it's all about. We have 2 prep times, and one is on Friday, 3 to 5:30. It's here at Maryville Garden Center. It's upstairs in the seminar room. And the benefit of prepping is, with our show, is we have help. We have experienced help to help you get your entries in. Like I said, it's a very friendly competition. And then again on Saturday, sometimes Friday is inconvenient. Again on Saturday, 7 to 10:15. And judging commences at 10:30. Of course, if you want your roses judged in relation to the competition, you want to get all your exhibits in by the time the judges come in the room. Okay. So let's start with, gosh, what do you do here? And I think we'll start with a fragrance class, because fragrance is something everyone, when people come to the show, they put their nose in an exhibit to see what they come up with. And we have 2 categories in our show. One has to do with hybrid teas and floribundas, and the other is for old garden roses and shrubs. So we have some fragrance here. And maybe, John, you want to take a look at that Pope John Paul? Or yeah.
Kind of a spice fragrance.
Spice fragrance. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, oh yeah, yeah. And so this would be perfect for fragrance, and everyone has fragrance in their garden, and I know you can bring that in. And fragrance is actually judged by the public. So we have certified judges that trained for over 2 years to judge a rose show. And but the public judges the fragrance. What they do is they close their eyes, and we have a voting box, and then they write in the entries, and at the end of the day we tally them, and we give the award and recognition based on what the public voted for. I see another one there that's fragrant. That Double Delight. It's a small Double Delight. Let's see, what do you think of that?
Probably my favorite rose.
Ah,
And the trouble with Double Delight is, once you smell it, you probably can't smell any other rose. It is one of the most fragrant roses that have ever been produced.
let me see. Oh my gosh. I always say it smells like Chanel perfume. It's like giving someone a bottle of Chanel.
Yes,
It really is. Yeah.
it is probably my favorite all-time rose.
Would you enter that in the fragrance class?
Oh my goodness, I try to.
Yeah, and you'd vote, I'm sure you'd vote for it as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It's based on intensity of fragrance. So to enter that category, I mean, seriously, you just cut a long stem, okay? You bring it in, and we provide all the vases and wedging material and everything. And you've got that in, and you just place it in a vase of water. The vases are already filled, and then you put it in the right category, and then it's judged by the public. But those are 2 fragrant classes, but there are many, many fragrant roses. So bring your fragrance in. That's a great one.
We had a question actually about the voting. Do the public get to vote on both days of the show? And is there a winner at the end of each day, or is there one winner at the end?
It's one winner at the end.
Okay.
The public judges on that Saturday between 1 and 5.
Okay, and if you want me to hold questions, I will. We had one more come in. Is there a minimum length or height that the stem needs to be if you're entering the fragrance competition?
Oh, no, you're getting technical on us.
We've got
For the fragrance category, no, because it's judged on intensity of fragrance.
okay, so no minimum height for fragrance competition.
Not for fragrance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
So let's
I'm gonna go ahead and stand.
Yeah, let's move on to an exhibition bloom. I see you've got a couple over here.
Mhm.
I'll move them. This-
What we strive for, you know, there's various criteria in judging this horticultural class. These are the hybrid teas, these are the ones that are eligible for the Royal Court. And so there's different point systems for judging them. But mainly what you want to do is you want a nice fresh bloom. And you want to just take the time to just clean it up. And when you come to a show, like there'll be people there to help you. So if you don't know exactly what class to enter it in, people will help you. The main thing is trust your own eye. You know what's pretty and you know what's not. Just bring them. Bring them. We'll help you. Now for this class, you know, like this rose right here, how it's kind of a little wobbly in the vase. So what we do, we have different types of wedging material. You can use saran wrap. Lately, we have kind of gone to these foam material that we cut into wedges. And what you do is you stick that wedge in there.
That's okay.
And what it does is just helps the rose stand erect. Then you always try to turn your rose, you know, the old saying, put your best face forward. So you try to turn the rose facing the judge. And then you will write the name of the rose on your entry tag and the class of the rose. And then you will put it in the proper category and it'll be judged. Now, you know, for like when we have some leaf damage or foliage damage, we have different tools that we use. These are called deco edge scissors. And they're the closest thing that resemble the natural serrated edge of a rose. And if you have a bad spot,
Like this one does.
like this one does, you can trim that out and see now it's not noticeable. So you take that out of the judge's eye. Because you always want to put your best face forward. So the rule is you can take off, but you can't add on. So if you have any dirt, dust, spray material of any kind, I use just a common cotton washcloth and wet it. And you just wash these leaves. And that cotton washcloth will microscopically serrate the surface of this foliage. And that will allow the natural oils to come out. And these things will shine like as if you put wax on them. But it's just the natural beauty of the rose. Now these two particular roses here are hybrid teas. And they would be eligible for the court. So there's certain grooming techniques you can use, you can do. You know, like this one here has a bad spot on the petal. So you are allowed to take off, but you're not allowed to put on. So you can just gently trim that up so that the judge doesn't see it, so it's not there.
It's a little water damage from the rain, or maybe a little insect munched on it. It's just tiny little spots. But boy, this makes it beautiful.
And then you make your entries look as good as you possibly can. Like I said, if you have a bad leaf, you can trim it. Sometimes you can take it completely off. If you have a petal that's too far damaged, you can take it completely off. To put your best face forward.
And John, talk about what Sally asked about balance and proportion. On the hybrid teas, for example, what's a good size stem in relation to the bloom?
Well, generally the rule of thumb is when a rose is being judged, It's 70-30, the point system that we use for judging. So it's 70% the bloom, 30% for the stem and foliage. So this is a smaller bloom. So if you was to have it staged up real high, right? Now, when the judge walks up and sees this entry, you're off balance. You're out of balance and proportion because it's all stem. You got this long, great big giant stem, but you have this smaller bloom. So what we do is we bring it back down to where it comes more in the balance, to where now the bloom is the forefront and the stem and foliage is secondary, so to speak. And if you ever have a rose that you're scared to blink your eyes because it's going to fall over in the vase, then it's too high. It's out of balance. It's out of proportion. Generally speaking, a rose that is 4 to 4.5 inches in diameter, generally you want to be around 26 inches off the tabletop to the top of the bloom. And then a larger bloom, of course, you can stage a little higher. But you don't want your bloom so high that the judge has to get a ladder to see it.
Right.
Okay, you want a proper balance and proportion.
Okay. Great.
We had a question, and y'all may be addressing this, but I will go ahead and give it to you. How open should we be looking for, like how open should the bloom be? At the time we cut, my blooms are going from bud to full bloom in a couple of days. I don't know if I should cut a day or two before.
Can we circle back to those questions?
Absolutely, yes.
Because after we go through this, we'll talk about how to get ready for a show.
Perfect. Okay. So
Okay.
we'll hang on to that one.
Yeah. So just moving on to another category, we have spray categories. Okay. And boy, I mean, this is self-wedging, isn't it?
Yes.
And you want nice balance and proportion. What you say right about there?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay. So this, I'm going to put it like this. So what makes a spray?
A spray is where you have these side buds that come off the terminal bud, and you get this collection, so to speak, of multiple flowers. And that's what's considered a spray. These are what's called a single stem.
Good. And this is Living Easy. And you can see, I like this because it has a nice reverse. It's really a attention getter. It has the yellow centers and it has a reverse, which is a kind of pinky on the back side. So it's a real showstopper. And that's an example of a spray, and that's a category. And so for climbers, we have blooms or sprays. For floribundas, blooms or sprays. Hydrant keys, grandifloras, single blooms or sprays. And I brought this in. This is Archduke Charles. It's an old garden rose. Old garden roses are in bloom now. And this is a nice little spray. I would clean it up just a tad because it's got a few distractions. Some of these side buds, if you can see them, are a bit distracting. So I'm just going to twist a couple of them off. No. And I can cut a couple. A few side buds are okay, but if it's all side buds, it's really takes away from the beauty of the spray. And maybe this down here. Sprays are judged on inflorescence, and inflorescence is a pattern. And judging really is about how the eye works, and actually finding beauty is about how the eye works as well. So sprays, your eye is looking for the inflorescence, and it's looking for a circle, it's looking for a triangle or an oblong, some sort of pattern. You wouldn't want something, maybe I can like this, because there's no inflorescence there. That's kind of a beat down spray.
You want a nice rounded rounded form.
Right, nice rounded form like this,
Mhm.
like these two. These are a very, very nice spread. Okay, another category, like I said, we have a category for every rose in your garden. You want to talk about these, John?
These are what's called miniature roses. If people can see me. These are miniature roses, and now we also have a class that's called mini flora, which are miniature roses, but are just slightly bigger than these in growth habit and in bloom size. So, and generally, you know, these are in the smaller salt shaker, smaller vases, but the same logic applies to them as the big roses, you know, balance and proportion, you know, you don't want this thing sticking way up. And then you want to wedge it so it's nice and erect, and so that it puts its best face forward. And then, as far as the judging of the criteria of the bloom and of the stem and foliage, it's all the same as the big roses. So you just want to drop a little wedge in there if you can. See now, that rose is nice and erect
Yeah.
and standing so that the judge can see it.
And the foliage frames the rose.
And balance and proportion, you know, you don't want it leaning over one side, you don't want it nodding forward or leaning way back, you want a nice erect specimen display.
And this little guy, Seroptimus International,
Optimus International.
a big name for a little rose.
And it can get large too.
Yes, yes.
It was hybridized by Frank Bernadelle up in Pennsylvania. And this is an old Jackson and Perkins hot tamale rose. Now, you see this little stem and how kind of little puny it is? There's really not a whole lot you can do with that as far as having it compete fairly against this rose. But what we have are different classes. We have floaters and picture frames. So what you can literally do, you may have an exquisite bloom that in a class for the bloom alone, it can't be beat. But you don't want to put it in against roses that will dwarf it.
You want to demonstrate with your hybrid tea instead of this?
Okay, well, anyway, what you can do is chop his head off. And he can go in what's called a floater class or a miniature picture frame. Now you're not competing against this larger specimen because now you're competing against just the blooms. And this is an exquisite bloom that's probably going to win this class. But going against this in the horticulture class, it doesn't stand a chance. So, like Pam said, we have classes for everything. Just bring them.
Yep.
Just bring them.
You want to? Would you want to cut that Sunny Sundays and put it in the frame? Let's say that came in on a small stem.
Well, actually, there's a couple back here I would rather have.
Sure. Okay.
Now, when we do these frames and floaters, most of the time they are what we want as called exhibition form. And you want them at the peak of exhibition form. So this moonstone here, this rose here is called moonstone. And as you can see, like we spoke of, the stem and foliage, this ain't going to match up to some of your larger roses. So cut that dude off. And either put him in a picture frame or still pan. And now, see there? The bloom is the centerpiece. And you don't have to worry about competing against these large roses. And we also have what's called a rose in a bowl. And you can take another rose that you may have that the stem and foliage is a little peaked, right? And it absolutely stands no chance at all of winning anything in this class. But in this class, drop it down in there.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like
It
that.
floats in the bowl. Now, well, I need more water. I need to cut it down a little more. Now it stands a chance of winning. So know your classes and give yourself the best opportunity to win. Because I'm telling you, once you start winning awards in row shows, and you get bit by the exhibiting bug, you're hooked. We got you. And that's how you get numbskulls like me and Pam, who's been doing this 30, 40 years, because we love doing it.
And there's another category that everyone can compete in. And it always happens, I cut these exhibition blooms, and sometimes when I get to the show, because of humidity or whatever, it's opened on me. And this is a perfect example of such. I'm just going to open up a little more. You want to wedge that? But we have a category for open bloom, stamens showing. Open bloom, stamens showing. And what you want are very fresh stamens. Are those fresh enough?
Oh, yes.
It helps you, with the rose show, you'll appreciate rose parts, and you'll learn a lot about rose anatomy. These stamens and anthers are very, very fresh, and you can keep them fresh. Sometimes it's just a little petaloid over the stamens that keeps them fresh. Sometimes if you cut them before the rain, that will keep them fresh, because that's what you want, is the freshness of both the bloom and the petals. And if you look at this is a beautiful open bloom.
Right. Now you have there's one little petal there that you probably can't see, but it's a distraction. So, like we said before, you can take out, but you can't put on. So you just reach in there, pop that dude out of there like it was never there.
Now let me see that. Oh yeah.
And now you have a perfectly fully open bloom and stamen showing, which they must show. The different stages of opening is you have a bud, you have quarter open, you have half open, 3/4 open. Generally, exhibition form, when we speak of exhibition form, it's generally from half to 3/4 open. And then we have classes for fully open. So this is what this class is called, is fully open.
So each individual rose is judged at the show, and they're all given ribbons, a blue ribbon for first place, a red, a yellow, or an honorable mention. And then the blue ribbons actually compete for the award tables. So definitely, these are all blue ribbons. Yep, love it. This is a great, great rose here. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll move to the photography categories and how you can get some great photos between now and the show. And we do a number of rose photography shows, and one is a print contest at our rose show coming up on the 24th and 25th. And the other is we do a national digital rose show. So let's go through it. So at this, you can see the photo ladders in the background. And this is just a setup here at Merrifield Garden Center's seminar room. And this is after the judging has occurred in classes. And also you can see the photo ladders in the background. So our print contest is sponsored by Merrifield Garden Center, and Merrifield Garden Center gift certificates are the awards. We have 5x7 prints, no larger, no smaller. and they're not matted. You want good resolution and clarity. They can be taken in your garden or gardens of others. I see a lot of photographers out in Maryfield's rose lot taking photos of their retail roses. And then we have 3 photo limit per category, and roses must be identified, just like in the horticulture show, roses must be identified. So you might ask, what are the categories for the rose show? So we have categories so everyone's on equal footing when the judging occurs. Now, this is one bloom, and so you're looking for great separation of petals. You're looking for a spiral center, or if it's more of a decorative rose, you want it, fresh, well organized, good separation of petals, and you want to have greenery in the background because that helps to frame the rose. Now, this rose happens to be Randy Scott. We did mention earlier that several of the roses here, Randy Scott, Sunny Sunday, Snuffy, they were hybridized by John Smith. John Smith is the most successful amateur hybridizer in the country. And a number of these roses that when it shows are John's. Yeah. So that's one bloom. So another category is sprays. And so a spray is 2 or more blooms on a cane. This happens to be Darlow's Enigma. And it's what we call a single rose. It has these beautiful golden stamens that you just think they're going to put your eye out. They're so lovely. But it comes in, clusters of 5 or 7, and you want it nestled in greenery. And so this is definitely a blue ribbon winner. Would it win the show? I don't know. Yeah. Open bloom again, open bloom stamen showing. This was taken by Jane Hansen. She's learning photography, and she showed this at a national level and won a blue ribbon. She took won the national award for Best Novice Bloom. I think I've got another one of her photos in here, but this is open bloom. Why is it so good? Well, those stamens are very fresh, and you have nice separation of petals, and it's nestled in greenery. So there's nothing distracting, and boom, your eye goes right to the bloom. It's a beautiful rose, and this photography shows it off very well. Okay, yes, here it is. A garden shot. The gardens can be of a public garden or your garden, and roses dominate. You can have structures, obelisks, pergolas, different things in it, but no people. And usually the garden shots are horizontal orientation. This happens to be vertical. She did a very, very nice capture. This is from Descano Gardens in California. And then another category is roses with critters. It's a really fun category. Of course, this is roses, with a honeybee. You can do close up or a little farther away. I love the coloration on this. I believe this rose is rainbow sorbet. And you can see fresh stamens and the bee really working that rose, and it's cropped very, very nicely. So, and that's what you want. Roses are judged based on, clarity, resolution, 50% photography, 50% horticultural excellence. So it needs to be a picture of a good rose, and also it needs to be good photography. So there's a balance in our competition between horticultural excellence and photographic excellence. Okay. And then just a fun category, this is the 6th category, is a macro photography. And macro photography is about taking something that's small and making it really big life. And this photographer added an element of abstraction in it. And this is basically rose petals from the back side. So you've got red and white rose petals, probably double the light. And with the sun coming in and it opening up, those petals unfurling. And then you've got that very gentle, soft lighting coming through. So it's both macro photography as well as abstract. It's a lovely photo. Another big topic for macro photography are close-ups of stamens and anthers, where you go in and you're not taking a photo of a rose and then zooming in on the stamens. You're taking a close-up of those stamens, and then you're farther enlarging that with your lens. And your photos can be with a smartphone or with a professional camera. Now, our contest is for amateur photographers, but amateur photographers with professional cameras or with their smartphone, either one. And these days the smartphones are nudging out the professional camera users, because it's not about the equipment, it's about what's the person using that equipment. And the smartphones are getting very slick. So this is last year's winner. It was Consuela Sevilla, and she won with her photo of Darcy Bustles. It's a David Austin rose, just an incredible shot, very nice lighting, and well framed, well cropped, pleasant background. She's very, very happy to win Maryfield gift certificate. And so again, prep time, May 23rd, 3 to 5:30 p.m. Saturday, May 24th, 7 to 10:30 a.m. And if you need any help or you have further questions after we move through our Q&A session, you simply send an email to ARF, Arlington Rose Foundation, ARF, information@aol.com. So ARF, information@aol.com. And happy to shoot you a message back. Okay. So Sally, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we do. Everybody, please feel free to send in any questions if you have them, and I'll start with the ones we have. Plenty of questions coming in about some of the details for how to enter and how to manage that. The first, if we can revisit, now's a good time, is about what time, if you're entering the floral side, not the photography side, to cut your blooms to bring them in. What level of freshness and openness are we looking for?
Okay, John, why don't you talk about how you get ready for a show?
Well, generally speaking, the majority of rose shows across the country are generally on Saturdays. So once you learn your blooms in your garden and at the rate that they open, I generally do not cut a rose for a Saturday show before Wednesday. And then if it's a little too far along, you can put it in the refrigerator to kind of slow it down a little bit, like florists do at the florist. But if you cut too early, and then by the time we get later in the week, you've had them refrigerated for too long a period of time, they'll start to show the aging signs. You want it to be as fresh as you possibly can. Certain varieties, they differ, but for generally speaking, I don't like to cut anything for a Saturday show before Wednesday.
And so if it's so there's a Saturday show and we see rain on Thursday and Friday, or it's a Saturday show and we see rain on Thursday and your garden is loaded, will you go out and protect?
Yes, we're allowed to protect our blooms. There are various different methods. Some people just take a clear see-through baggy freezer bag 1 pound, 1 gallon freezer bag and just drape over the bloom. Now I use the gallon jug method and a rebar stake because it's a little more rigid. And you take a gallon milk jug and you just cut the bottom of it out. And then you put a rebar there, and then you set this jug on there with the rebar going up into the handle, and it hovers over top of your bloom like a protective umbrella. And to keep the damage off of it. And then for insect damage, I use what's called a remake cloth. It's a very fine cloth, finer than cheesecloth. And you just drape it over the bloom, and then you tuck it in up under the bloom, and just take a little twisty tie and put on there. And it makes this protective bonnet that insects can't penetrate.
Good. And how do you transport your roses?
I do mine the cheap way, 5 gallon buckets, and then I take a standard freezer paper, and then I take the freezer paper and I make like a cone and tape it up, and then the rose will go in that cone in a 5 gallon bucket that has flower preservative in it. And what the cone does is protect them from damaging the foliage,
Damaging each other.
damaging each other.
Yeah.
That's all really helpful. Thank you. All right, let's see. Next question. Do you all provide the frames? The question is, how do we get the frames and how are you getting them to sit so easily? Is that something you all provide for the show?
No, so we provide all the vessels. So the
Okay.
hybrid tea vases, the frames, the bowls. We have a teacup entry, and we have a diversity bouquet that we have wide mouth vases for, because it's like 5 to 9 stems. And we provide the entry tags. Okay.
The only thing we don't provide are your personal grooming tools.
Right.
Okay.
Everything else, the entry tags, the hardware, the vases is all.
So y'all have those black picture frames with the gold frames kind of preset so that you can put the rest.
Yes,
Yeah. And they're on a first come, first served basis.
There are limited numbers.
Okay. When you were showing the photography pieces, you were talking about having to identify the rows. If someone's submitting a gardens photo in the garden category, do they need to be able to identify the roses in that photo?
Oh, no. So that you would identify the garden.
Okay.
And if it's a private garden, you can just say private garden in McLean.
Okay.
But if it's a public garden, you want to be able to identify it, Bon Air Memorial Rose Garden. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're not identifying the individual roses in that garden. You're identifying that garden.
The garden itself.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. And then this is our last question. So if anybody has any more, please feel free to submit. If you are submitting a photograph, how do you print? Do you use a print service, or is there a certain quality of paper you're supposed to use? What are your tips for that?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So for the print contest, you want to go to a CVS or a Walgreens or wherever you can get your local prints made. Don't wait till the last minute, because sometimes, the show cutoff is at 10 o'clock and they're just, don't go at 9 o'clock expecting them to print it. But print your photos well in advance, and you crop them on the screen too. So
Okay.
that's for a print contest. For a digital contest, which American Rose Society hosts every year, and with the deadline of November 5th. And those are submitted digitally, either by thumb drive to a mailing address or via Dropbox, which is an electronic app for handling very large files.
Perfect. All righty. Well, let's see. We have a new question. Does the frame have a water supply?
Yes,
Yes, it
No.
does.
it has the water vial inside.
Yes,
I'd been wondering about that, and then they asked, "Oh, look at that! That's so clever."
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how it keeps hydrated. And then at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, we go around with an eyedropper and we refill
Refresh the
all these
water.
tiny, uh, all the vases and all the frames and bowls so that, we still have fresh blooms through the end of the show. The show is open to the public 1 to 5 on Saturday, and then again 11 to 4 on Sunday. So we try to keep those, all the blooms fresh all the way through.
Oh, this is okay. This is spectacular. There's so much work that goes into this. I've seen it. I just had no idea. You just look at it and it looks like it just popped up. It looks like magic.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all the questions we have. Do you all have anything you would like to wrap up with, or anything you want to finish out on? Since we still got a few more minutes, so if you have anything you want to close with, there's a few minutes of time.
When you arrive, for exhibitors, when you arrive at Maryfield, you can unload on the side left-hand entrance, and then you can use the elevator to bring your buckets of roses in, and you bring them upstairs to the seminar room, and then you go back down the elevator and you then move your car to the overflow parking lot. The show is Memorial Day weekend. It's very busy at Maryfield, so we want to be sure to park in that overflow lot. And then once you get in the seminar room, you register and you find a prep area. And if you know what you're doing, you get started. And if you need a little help, there are coaches there that will help you get your entries in. Like I said, it's a very friendly competition.
Please do not be afraid. Bring them, bring them, bring them, bring them, bring them.
Yes, exactly.
You'll enjoy it, you'll have fun, and you might even win something.
Well, thank you all so much. That's fantastic. I really appreciate it. And do you have I saw your email on there. If anybody has questions, should they email you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All righty. And if anybody needs to, if they didn't see that, please feel free. You can hit reply on your Eventbrite emails. Those go to me and I can send you the email address. So that's if that's necessary, I can do that for you guys. I have it too.
Love to see everyone at the show, either exhibiting or viewing.
Definitely.
Or just see you. Look us up. We'll be there.
Perfect. And I have a couple notes, guys, because we did have a question. We have recorded this class. It may not be available until Monday morning just because we have the weekend and we have people who are uploading it who have to go home to their families, but we'll have it for you all and we'll send that out so those of you who want to review it can get it. Just normally we do these classes Thursday, so it goes out Friday. It might be Monday this time. Well, Pam, thank you so much. John, thank you. It was nice to meet you. I know this is our first time
Nice to
we've
meet
done
you.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Pam, is there anything else you'd like to wrap up with before we close?
Nope.
All righty. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Enjoy the Rose Show. Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.